Hello, Namaste, Adab. I'm Somesh, Mathur, and today we are talking about my recent endeavor called The Calling, which is a project very dear to my heart as a tribute and a dedication to the girl child and the women's rights and women's empowerment. During the course of our conversation, I will probably sing to you some music and poetry based on this concept, which is rather unique and yet very pertinent and relevant to today's times. Hope you enjoy yourselves. I basically am contributing towards Indian and world music to take it to the global platform, and I'm sure all of your initiation in this endeavor of mine will be of great help, and I thank you for it. God bless you all. ये एक सेगमेंट ठीक है तो आप क्या डिसॉल्व कर सकते हैं ना डिसॉल्व देन कम इन देन डिसॉल्व देन कम इन है ना एडिटिंग में एडिट होएगा ना इसका
Sir, what is the reason for embarking upon the calling?
Well, the reason is that one of my very, very dear friends, Mr. B.L. Gotham, who is a writer come producer, a prolific writer and a poet, one fine day he said suddenly after the Nirbhaya incident, at 3 a.m. in the morning he sent me these mind-blowing lyrics as a contribution. Pause कर दो मैं इसको बोलूँ शोर आ रहा है ना.
What is the reason for embarking upon the calling?
The reason and purpose of embarking towards this noble endeavor, what I would like to believe as being noble, the calling, is that I feel very, very strongly about empowering the womanhood, the female species, because I feel that any country, any nation, any region where there is oppression of women, or if there is no equality for women, then we are handicapping the population of that region or country or nation by at least 50%, and therefore the efficiency of that nation, both on a social level, on an economic level, and a political level, and of course a moral level. So I feel very strongly and dearly about this, and I feel we have to condition the mind of the youth towards changing their way of thinking towards the female species and towards what seems to be just and equal and more inclusive for everyone. Men, women, children, old people, needy people, where some may be in need of money, economic reasons, or some may be in need of emotional reasons or mental reasons. I think we need to have a more inclusive conditioning of mind, especially in the youth of today. And this poetry of The Calling conveys this sentiment to the listener and to the audience and to the public at large, the world at large, in a very simple and beautiful way, which I think, which I've experienced through my concerts, goes into the heart and mind and soul of the listener like an arrow and leaves a lasting impression. So that's basically the purpose and objective of embarking upon The Calling.
What has been your experience with regards to performing the poetry of the calling?
The experience has been surreal and absolutely humbling, emotional, and at the same time very, very exciting. Each time I perform the repertoire of The Calling in a concert, I see all kinds of emotions coming from the audience, and especially the youth, especially the women, and even men for that matter, boys, girls, and old people. So the poetry is quite universal in its reach, and sentiment to the people, to whomsoever it's performed to. And it's been an absolute incredible experience, absolutely incredible, performing this content. Also, as I mentioned earlier, it goes like an arrow into the heart, mind, and soul of the listener. And I think it has a very lasting impression in conditioning the mind. It has a very lasting impression in conditioning the mind of the listener, especially the youth. And hopefully these are the baby steps we have started with on this endeavor. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that we can take this forward a long distance. Pause karo ek second.
How can the youth of India benefit from this endeavor?
I feel that great lyrical content has a lasting impression on any society. Ek second. Repeat. Ek second.
How can the youth of India benefit from this endeavor?
I feel the youth of any country, not just India, but the world over, is very impressionable at this stage. There's a whole lot of volatility in the world. And if a proper message is conveyed to the youth through beautiful poetry, through beautiful words, through beautiful lyrics, it has a lasting impression on the listener. Whether you get to the lyrics through music, through a song, or if you read it, either way, I think it has a very lasting impression upon the conditioning of the mind of the youth and the listener and the reader. So I think that these lyrics, which are bordering towards Hindustani and Sufi, are having a lasting impression and changing the conditioning of the mind of the youth of India, especially in becoming towards more focused, more humble, more noble, more just, more equal, and basically towards goodness towards other human beings, goodness, sensibility. So I think this is a primary objective which we are trying to fulfill through this endeavor. And I think we're having a really, really impactful and fulfilling conveying of thoughts through these lyrics to the people at large of the world.
So what is the message you have for the political class, the government of India, and governments of the world?
I feel the political class, the government of India, the governments of the world should embrace this endeavor of ours, this humble and noble endeavor of ours. And because I think I'm positive that it will help all political class across the globe in helping in conditioning of the mind of the people of today towards more peace, more prosperity, more nobility, more goodness, being at peace with oneself, being sensitive towards another human being. And I feel, aside of the economic crisis which the world has today to an extent, of just making money, which is also very important towards economic development, I feel mental and emotional development is as important, if not more, of the people of the world today. And I feel the calling addresses this issue in a big way. And if the governments of the world, if the government of India, the political class, the diplomatic class, the United Nations, if they embrace this endeavor of ours, and if we jointly work towards this endeavor all over the world, starting with India, I think it will have a fantastic and very, very impactful and meaningful, should I say, impression on the world, people of the world, the youth of the world, in changing their mindset towards goodness, towards nobility, towards humility, sensitivity towards other human beings, and therefore making a more peaceful world at large to live in, a more homogenized world, a world without borders and boundaries, a world without ideological clashes. is what would serve. This is the purpose which is served through these Hindustani Sufi lyrics and music. So I feel the governments of the world should embrace this project, this endeavor, this noble endeavor, humble endeavor of ours, and we can jointly work on it for a long time to come, because it's an ongoing process, and I feel it is a noble cause whose time has really come.
What kind of music have you composed for the poetry of The Calling?
The compositions on this poetry, the poetry of The Calling, a tribute towards the girl child and women's rights and empowerment. The lyrics the compositions on the lyrics have been based mostly on Indian ragas, and also some influences of jazz and blues may be found in these compositions, and world music at large. And I feel it is a sensibility, the production of this music, these lyrics, has a sensibility which is global. And I feel through the experience, through my concerts, which I have been doing for the last 1 year, the concerts of The Calling, I feel it has a universal appeal towards all kinds of audiences the world over. But the basic genre of music has been Indian classical, jazz, blues, and world music, basically.
What is the genre of The Calling and how did it come about?
Ek second. My dear and close friend Shri B.L. Gotham, who was responsible for the release of movies like A Wednesday and Khosla Ka Ghosla, and is also a prolific writer and a brilliant poet, sent me this SMS at 3 a.m. in the morning one fine day after the Nirbhaya incident. And he normally sleeps at 11 p.m. and I was quite amazed to receive this poetry, which just blew my brains. It was so powerful and beautiful and so impactful. And I SMSed him back asking, what are you doing up so late at night, sending me this incredible poetry? And he said, I'm not able to get sleep because this incident has had such an impact on me. And it's just, the poetry is just flowing and flowing and flowing. So I thought, I read it and I lost my sleep, and I instantly started to, at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, I started to compose something towards it. And just as the poetry was flowing in his mind, the music was flowing in mine. And it was no really great effort composing the poetry of The Calling, the entire concept towards the girl, child, and women's rights. It's been so divine, and as if the universe is talking to oneself and just conveying the message to you to compose and perform this poetry and these beautiful lyrics to the world. And that, I suppose, is our humble contribution towards working towards bringing about peace, nobility, and goodness in the world today, which I feel is hugely required. And I'm hoping the opinion makers of the world are watching this and will join hands with us and give us the opportunity of joining hands with them towards taking this noble endeavor forward in a big way globally. Sure. I'll sing to you one of the songs, one of the poetries which people love. It's called Darinda महज आदम शक्ल था मेरी कहानी में. दरिंदा महज आदम शक्ल था मेरी कहानी में, दरिंदा आदमी निकला हमारी राजधानी में.